will be on to the next team, which is the Delhi Capitals.
Retained the strongest core. Like they got three Indian players in there who are all young and they have like a longer future to go. And I feel the price points now, looking at the auction, they feel like steals, right? So, or like at least fairly priced. There's nothing overpriced there. So, what do you think went well for Delhi overall in the auction? Like they had a unique auction strategy. I felt they were kind of starting the bids for most players or trying to get the price up for other players. So, how do you think it all panned out eventually?
Delhi's strategy point of view, they wanted to replicate what Chennai and Mumbai kind of did. They want to get back most of their players, most of their cores. In fact, went behind all the Delhi players possible who were part of their squad. If you go back and look at the kind of players they bid, almost everybody, Shikhar Dhawan, R. Ashwin, Kagiso Rabada, Shreyas Iyer, Avesh Khan, they bid for everybody they lost. But sadly, 4 out of the 10 players came out in the marquee set, so they were always behind in the budget, and they didn't have enough money for the others. So they did their best to go behind the players they wanted, but everybody's price point was beyond them. And they got lucky with David Warner, which I think they didn't even expect David Warner to come through, and that was a very, very good purchase. Again, a lot of people have them as one of their best teams in the IPL. I have it slightly differently. I think they have a from an auction per se, they did a great job. When you put that 11 together, certain things have to fall in place for them to kind of really challenge. You know, the bowling is a big step down from last time. Rather not won them, at least got them to the playoffs 3 times. So bowling is a huge step down. I don't know how they're going to manage that. Nokia is coming back from an injury. We don't know how that's going to help them. So currently, when you look at that, you're kind of hoping that Mitchell Marsh bowls. Otherwise, that's a balance issue. Roman Powell, yes, all exciting, but how many we've seen enough cases of failures than success. Again, Roman Powell has to bowl to make sure that you have that sixth bowling option. When you look at all this put together, I think from an auction per se, yes, I would give them a pretty decent effort. But from a playing 11 perspective, I'm very curious to see how Ponting kind of juggles that. But overall, good stuff. Like for all the challenges they had of not getting back the players, I think they've done a great job.
They don't have proper backups for their overseas seamers.
They tried to replicate last year's strategy and they couldn't do that. If you remember last year, even in India, they didn't play Nokia. They had to play Avesh, so they couldn't play Nokia. Avesh was really good, so they couldn't drop him. And then when they went to UAE, they had to play Rabada, Nokia, and Avesh. So yes, like I mentioned before, they're banking on certain few aspects of the game to go through. And you're spot on. They have a Indian core backup in terms of pace bowling. So they've gone in that route. So in case they're not able to get Nokia in, they'll have to play Sakarias, the Khalil Ahmeds, Nagar Kotis. They have enough pace bowling options there. From a bowling perspective, you have Shardul as well. But then you need to change the balance. Then you have to play Mitchell Marsh, Roman Powell, David Warner, and you have to figure out who your another overseas. You may have to play a batter in, Tim Seifert. So that's the juggling act. So they have options. So they don't. I won't say they miss an overseas. Are you going to replicate Nokia in your backup? If you do, I don't. If you have that bowler, then fine. I don't think they have that bowler. So if Nokia is not there, you got to go with a different strategy altogether.
Last year, they had such a strong playing 11. You had like 4-5 Indian players which could walk into most teams' playing 11s were sitting on their bench. And now it feels like maybe they've peaked. Like, I don't see how this squad can even replicate that level of consistency. Right?
Spot on. I think they missed a golden opportunity to win a title there. I think that was their best squad. They came close. I'm totally in agreement with that view.
We have to give like a rating for the auction or like the overall squad. What do you think? Like again, you can replicate the previous scores, but yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of did the same exercise. So yeah, I think I'll give it a 7 or an 8.
Indian pace attack, it's kind of one-dimensional. They have 3 left-arm pacers out there, and Shardul is not a death bowler also, right? If he bowls in the death, he could go for a lot of runs.
So they have Mustafizur. He's a good death bowler. So again, I may be repeating, but these are the gaps. But Sakaria is a good death bowler, so they don't need Shardul to even bowl in the death. They can either do Sakaria and Mustafizur, or they can do Sakaria and Nokke. Ideally, like when you see the 11, you want, if the best 11 plays for Delhi for 14 games, they'll be very good. But getting the best 11 to play is going to be hard. So
And one more thing which we discussed in the playing 11, three Chota packets together: Warner, Shaw, and Pant. So their batting looks absolutely destructive.
that's what top four is really. They're very top heavy, but below Pant is where the challenge begins. And Marsh, again, I don't know what you're going to get from Marsh. He's played 23 matches in the IPL ever, and he's been around for almost 11, 10 years now, almost a decade, more than a decade, and he's hardly played much IPL. So who knows when that hamstring tear is going to happen. So you've got to be very very. If Warner and Marsh can play to their potential, then that kind of opens up Shaw and Pant's role much more clarity. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see, guys, how Delhi perform. But yeah, you're right. Top four looks a very exciting proposition. So Shaw, Warner, Marsh, and Pant are my top four. 5 would be Sarfraz Khan. 6 would be Roman Powell.
Right, and he might have to bowl, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10 would be Aksar, Shardul, Kuldeep, Sakaria, Nokia. So what I would do is I would also have, if Mitchell Marsh says that he's coming in, he's not going to be bowling, I would mostly swap Sarfraz with Lalit.
He could be a very good option in the middle order as well. Like he can bat.
Exactly. Yeah. And they don't have that skill set, yes. So if Marsh is bowling, actually, even if Marsh does not bowl, you can always have, if Marsh is bowling also, you can have Lalit Yadav. That's the flexibility. That's one slot. But look, when you see this, the top four kind of defines your season. I think if you say, even if you're 70 for 4 or 100 for 4, you're hoping that Roman, Aksar, Shardul, Sarfaraz, these guys kind of take you through to the finish line. I don't know how that's going to pan out.